Part 17. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Ju. Chapter 161. Okay, I'll let you know when the time comes. After finishing speaking, Zhang Yuquan said to the relatives and friends of the Zhang family, by the way, all of you relatives who were at the scene must come back to the Public Security Bureau with us to record a statement together. These ordinary people have an instinctive awe for the Public Security Bureau. When they heard that they were going to the Public Security Bureau to record statements, they were all frightened and turned pale. Zhang Yuquan saw the fear on their faces, as if they were afraid of the police station, as if they were tigers. He smiled and patiently comforted them, saying, "Don't worry, we're just recording a confession and asking about what happened at the scene. You just need to put your if you tell me what you know, you can go home and nothing else will happen." After hearing Zhang Yuquan's explanation, the relatives and friends of Zhang Weiniang's family breathed a sigh of relief. In order to quickly solve the case and bring the inhuman murderer Fatty Zhang to justice, Shen Tianxing also planted mantra spells in the brains of several key figures. Of course, in order not to affect the lives of others, except for the fat man Zhang and his wife, the mantras planted by Shen Tianxing only lasted for 24 hours. She also believed that with Zhang Yuquan's ability, they would be able to ask them what they wanted to know within 24 hours. This trip to the Zhang family also made her sigh and sigh. Many secular people just can't see through money. For money, these people are willing to sacrifice everything, including sacrificing their closest relatives, sacrificing their best friends, and sacrificing the most heartwarming family affection and love. Shen Tianxing sighed, the way these people live is actually putting the cart before the horse. When she and her master were in the fairy world, they already understood that the most precious thing in this world is human feelings. Just like the master treats her and she treats the master, even if they are separated by 2 worlds and thousands of miles apart, they care about each other and will try their best to be with each other. Money is the most useless thing in their eyes. And people who have family and affection, even if they do not have a prosperous life, will still have a positive driving force, will still feel happiness, and feel that life is bitter but sweet, and they will work hard for their relatives and lovers. Struggle and life are joyful. And those who are self-centered and selfish will never think of this. The center of their lives always only considers their own interests, gains, and losses, and never considers the feelings of others. They will never know what they have lost. One day, what awaits them will be betrayal and separation. Shen Tianxing's thoughts continued to fly like this, feeling. When Lu Yang saw Shen Tianxing's sullen face, she didn't dare to speak, and the whole person fell silent. When Shen Tianxing returned to the office of Xingzi Charitable Foundation, Shen Tianxing said to Lu Yang, "Lu Yang, bring the field staff responsible for Mrs. Zhang's case to my office." Lu Yang lowered his head and responded, "Yes." In this matter, she, the first reviewer, is also responsible. Not long after they opened their business, someone happened to defraud charity funds. However, none of the people who conducted the rounds of inspections discovered it. In the end, it took the master's intervention to discover the fishiness of the matter. Lu Yang also felt very uncomfortable in his heart. About an hour later, Luz Heiming, the field worker in charge of Mrs. Zhang's application verification, hurried back to Shen Tianxing's office when Lu Yang called him and said that the boss had asked him to come back. Shen Tianxing glanced at Luz Heiming lightly and said to him, "Sit down." She didn't say much and opened her eyes directly to Luz Heiming. In the picture displayed by the Sky Eye, Luz Heiming, Fat Man Zhang, and another man of the same age as Luz Heiming were sitting in a quiet tea house talking. The young man gave Luz Heiming a stack of 10,000 yuan and said, "Heiming, please help us with this. My grandma really needs this money to treat her illness. After the money arrives, we will thank you again." Luz Heiming was reluctant to accept it at first. The young man persuaded him again, "Heiming, we have been classmates for so many years, and we are also close friends. I have told you before that my grandma has cancer, and you also know it. Even if we follow the formal channels, it is true that grandma has cancer. If we go to your Xingzi Charity Foundation to apply for assistance, you will approve it, right? Just take the money and treat it as our thanks for your hard work. Luz Haiming finally accepted the 10,000 yuan. When seeing this scene, Shen Tianxing felt very sad. Just 10,000 yuan can make a person destroy his career. This Luz Haiming, his self-esteem, pride, and dignity as a human being are so cheap. When Luz Haiming saw Shen Tianxing looking at him intently, he felt a little frightened and his palms were all sweaty. Just when he was almost unable to bear it anymore, he heard Shen Tianxing's faint voice, "Luz Haiming, are you sure you can take the 10,000 yuan that the Zhang family and his son gave you?" Luz Haiming's eyes widened instantly and he looked at Shen Tianxing in disbelief, as if asking her, "How did you know?" Shen Tianxing sneered lightly, "You have been working in the foundation for a while, don't you know what I do?" Luz Haiming suddenly thought of the warning Lu Yang gave them when they joined the company. Lu Yang said, "Our boss is very young, but I am here to remind you, don't think that because the boss is young, she is easy to bully. On the contrary, although the boss is young, she is a very capable senior. You are a genius. If you dare to make fun of the Xingzi Charity Foundation, you are seeking death." Thinking of this, cold sweat broke out on Luz Haiming's forehead. He thought he was a smart man and thought that everything he did was secret and would not be discovered. Little did he know that what he did had already been noticed by this little boss with magical abilities. "Boss, I did something wrong in this matter. I'm sorry. I will return the 10,000 yuan immediately. Please give me a chance. I will never dare to do it again. I will definitely change it. I will definitely change it." After Luz Haiming finished speaking, he wanted to kneel down to Shen Tianxing without hesitation. Shen Tianxing stretched out his hand and supported his body, preventing him from kneeling down. Luz Haiming felt that an unknown force was controlling his body, and he felt even more frightened and frightened. He was wrong. He was really wrong. Shen Tianxing looked at Luz Haiming's future again. The result was very disappointing for her. This Luz Haiming is the kind of man who can't change his eating habits. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 162. In his future images, Shen Tianxing still saw that he was embezzling and accepting bribes. In the end, because of the huge amount of corruption and bribes he accepted, he was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Of course, Luz Haiming was no longer working at her foundation at that time. Seeing his unfavorable future, Shen Tianxing said directly to Luz Haiming, "Luz Haiming, you are not suitable to stay in our foundation. You can find your financial settlement salary on Monday." Luz Haiming glanced at Shen Tianxing hatefully, then turned and left angrily. 2 days later, Shen Tianxing received a call from Zhang Yuquan, saying that Zhang Weiniing's case had been transferred to the procuratorate, and it was expected that the court would pronounce the verdict soon. If there are no accidents, Fat Man Zhang will be sentenced to death, and his wife is an accessory and is expected to be sentenced to 10 or 15 years. In addition, the group of people who molested Shen Tianxing in Minjiao Tower were carefully investigated by the Special Operations Team, and it was found that everyone had committed various crimes. Especially the salty director, who not only took huge amounts of bribes, but was also suspected of raping and killing a young woman, and will also be sentenced to death. The other several people were sentenced to fixed-term imprisonment of 3 to 15 years respectively according to the seriousness of their crimes. After hearing what happened to these scum, Shen Tianxing smiled with satisfaction. In her view, good deeds are rewarded with good deeds and evil deeds are deducted from evil deeds. This is the right way in the world. Those who commit crimes had better pray not to be caught by her. Otherwise, she would catch anyone she met and never let these scumbag criminals go unpunished. Time was like quicksand, and soon it was the time agreed upon by Shen Tianxing and Dugu Zixi to go to Kyoto. After school this Friday, Shen Tianxing went back to the Xingzi Charity Foundation and finished all the business matters at hand before going home to have dinner with his family. After dinner, Shen Tianxing smiled and said to his parents, "Mom, Dad, I am going to the capital with Zixi to do some errands tomorrow morning. If you have anything, just call me." When Shen Wenru heard that Shen Tianxing was going to the capital again, he couldn't help but frowned. "Xiao Xing, you are still young now. Don't keep running to the capital to avoid being looked down upon." Shen Tianxing smiled and said, "Dad, where did you think you were? I went there to have serious things to do. Do you think I went there to have a romantic relationship?" Shen Wenru snorted coldly, "What serious matter do you have to ask Zi-11 to help you handle? Can't we do it?" Shen Tianxing said with a smile, "You guys are really not good at it. This matter really has to be done by Zi-11 and the others. Okay, I won't joke with you anymore. Let me tell the truth. I accidentally got a batch of some of the antiques must be donated to the country, and the other part must be auctioned. All the proceeds from the auctions will be given to the Xingzi Charity Foundation. We are taking them from the people and using them for the people. These things must be done. Go to the capital to deal with it." After Shen Wenru and Li Xiaoxia heard what Shen Tianxing said, they stopped talking and only told her to be careful and pay attention to safety and never let themselves get hurt. Shen Tianxing nodded repeatedly, "I know, I promise nothing will happen." After explaining the itinerary to his parents, Shen Tianxing returned to his room. She set a reminder on the door so that if someone came looking for her, she would be able to sense it. Then, Shen Tianxing entered the life space and met Dugu Zixi. That night, the two of them were still practicing and working in the space, sorting out the antiques that would be donated to the country tomorrow, and dividing the antiques that were going to be sent to the auction into another pile. The next day, Shen Tianxing and Dugu Zixi finished breakfast in the space and then went outside. Mr. Dugu and his wife were sitting in the living room enjoying the spiritual tea sent by Shen Tianxing. When they saw Dugu Zixi coming downstairs holding Shen Tianxing's hand, the two old men immediately waved to Shen Tianxing happily. "Mrs. Dugu said with a smile, "Xiao Xing, you are finally here. We have been looking forward to you for a long time." Mr. Dugu also said, "Xiao Xing, come over here and sit down." Shen Tianxing sat down between the old man and the old lady, and said to them with a smile, "Grandpa, Grandma, I'm sorry, I've been too busy recently. This charity foundation has just been established, and there are really a lot of things going on. This time I came here, in addition to chatting with Grandpa and Grandma, it was mainly for the charity foundation." Mr. Dugu looked at her with relief, nodded and said, "I heard Zixi talk about this. Don't worry, we have arranged everything here. When the time comes, we will ask Zixi to take you there, and you will donate it to the country. The state will also compensate you appropriately for those things." Shen Tianxing smiled faintly, "Grandpa, since I am willing to donate these things, I don't care about the compensation." Mr. Dugu waved his hand and said kindly, "I know you don't care about that little thing, but the country can't accept your things and do nothing, right? I have to express my gratitude to you. Whatever I give you, just keep it, that's what you mean." Shen Tianxing smiled obediently and said, "Okay, I'll listen to Grandpa." Only then did Mr. Dugu smile with satisfaction and said, "That's so good." Shen Tianxing asked them again with concern, "How are your grandparents doing recently?" Mrs. Dugu smiled and replied, "It's very good. Look at our appearance now. Others say that we are more than 10 years younger. My white hair has begun to turn black. I used to walk a few steps and panting, I feel strong enough to walk all day long. Those old men and women are not envious of us. Speaking of which, I have to thank you, Xiao Xing. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be as good as we are now. Shen Tianxing smiled and said, you two are in good health, so we, the younger generation, can rest assured. Mrs. Tugu also smiled and said, yes, we are in good health, so you don't have to worry about us. Mr. Tugu also nodded to express his agreement with the old lady's statement. Shen Tianxing chatted with the old man and his wife for a while. When Tugu Zixi saw that the appointment time with the director of the National Museum was almost over, he reminded Shen Tianxing, Xiao Xing, let's go. Good. Shen Tianxing stood up and said to the old man and the old lady, Grandpa, Grandma, we will come back to have dinner with you in the evening. Mrs. Tugu smiled and waved to her, okay, okay, go and do your work. We will talk again when you come back in the evening. Today, Tugu Zixi drove the car himself, and Shen Tianxing sat in the passenger seat. The car started slowly and drove towards the National Museum in Beijing. At the gate of the National Museum, there were several distinguished old professors of national archaeology and research standing. The leader, a man in his 50s or 60s, is Mr. Wang Changzheng, the director of the National Museum. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 163. The other ones are Professor Guo Xiaodong, Professor Gu Xiaolong, Professor Hu Jiandong, and Professor Yan Donghai, who are very famous in the field of collection and archaeology and are also professors in the Department of Archaeology of Kyoto University. These 5 old friends are the first-class antique connoisseurs in the world of collecting and archaeology. No matter at work or in life, the 5 of them are very good friends. They often get together to appreciate antiques, drink tea, play chess or chat together. They will always help each other if anything happens. This time, the 4 old professors became excited when they heard Wang Changzheng say that someone was going to donate a batch of very rare and precious famous porcelain and cultural relics from the Song dynasty to the National Museum. They also said that they wanted to help director Wang Changzheng to take a look at it together to prevent Wang Changzheng from mistaking his eyes. Although their words sounded like a joke, Wang Changzheng laughed back. In the end, the 4 old professors got their wish and came with Wang Changzheng to welcome these precious antiques from the Song dynasty. There was still more than half an hour before the agreed time, and they had already arrived at the gate, ready to welcome Tugu Zixi and Shen Tianxing. But Tugu Zixi and Shen Tianxing never showed up in advance, and the impatient Professor Guo Xiaodong began to feel nervous. He approached Director Wang Changzheng and asked in a low voice, "Old Wang, those people won't regret breaking their promise, right?" Wang Changzheng smiled softly and said, "Just be at ease. Do you know who is sending these Song dynasty antiques today?" Guo Xiaodong's eyes lit up. "Who is it? Tell us quickly." Several other professors also urged, "Who is it? Lao Wang, please stop being so secretive and tell me quickly. Say it. Say it." Wang Changzheng saw their anxious and curious expressions, and then said to them mysteriously, "This donor is the fiancé of the eldest young master of the Dugu family." The 4 old professors instantly understood, she turns out to be the fiancé of Master Dugu. Guo Xiaodong asked suddenly, "But I heard that Master Dugu's fiancé is not from the countryside of Su City? How come she has so many donated antiques from the Song dynasty?" Wang Changzheng laughed with joy, "You don't care where she got so many Song dynasty antiques. As long as she is willing to donate them to the country, it will be a great thing. If you really investigate the provenance of others, who will dare to donate good things to the country in the future? Are you willing to do something good for the country, but end up not getting a good end?" Several other professors also said, "Lao Wang is right. We must encourage these good people and do good deeds, and we cannot pursue the root cause like arresting criminals. That is, To put it bluntly, even if the origin of these things is unknown, the fact that they can hand them over to the country is enough to prove that they have a patriotic heart. Guo Xiaodong saw a few old friends chattering there, and he smiled helplessly. Of course I know this is true, I'm just a little curious, I don't really want to die. Who else? How dare you pursue that person's family affairs? Wang Chanzheng smiled cheerfully, as long as you understand. At this moment, Wang Chanzheng saw a black car slowly driving over. As soon as he saw the special license plate, he said to the other 4 old professors, here it comes, here it comes. After saying that, Wang Chanzheng took the lead and walked towards the black car. The other 4 old professors also quickly followed. As the director of the National Museum, Wang Chanzheng actually stepped forward to open the car door for Shen Tianxing and greeted her warmly, hello, little miracle doctor. Welcome to our National Museum, please get out of the car. Shen Tianxing smiled at him and said, hello, Director Wang. Before coming here, De Guozixi had already transferred the personal information of Wang Chanzheng, the director of the National Museum, into Shen Tianxing's brain, so Shen Tianxing recognized him at a glance. When Wang Chanzheng saw that Shen Tianxing actually knew him, he said happily, it turns out that the little miracle doctor still knows me. It's such an honor, a pleasure to meet, a pleasure to meet. Wang Chanzheng introduced the other 4 professors to De Guozixi and Shen Tianxing one by one, and explained to them, these 4 professors are all experts in the field of archaeological collections. I invited them to come over to appreciate them together today. I hope you too don't mind these precious antiques. Shen Tianxing smiled softly and said, of course I don't mind. After we come over and hand over these antiques to Director Wang, we won't care how the National Museum arranges these antiques. Wang Chanzheng bowed deeply to De Guozixi and Shen Tianxing. On behalf of the National Museum, I would like to express my highest respect and gratitude to you too. Thank you for sending these precious Song Dynasty antiques to the National Museum so that everyone has the opportunity to see the beautiful treasures of our country's ancient times. De Guozixi and Shen Tianxing sidestepped to avoid his gift. Then, Shen Tianxing said, you're welcome, Director Wang. Those things are all in the trunk. Please lead the way and Zi11 and I will move in together. Wang Chanzheng quickly said, let's come, let's come. De Guozixi looked at these elderly people and said calmly, Xiao Xing and I will do it. Director Wang, lead the way. As soon as De Guozixi's words came out, Wang Chanzheng did not dare to continue the fight. Shen Tianxing opened the trunk compartment and inside were 4 cardboard boxes packed tightly with tape and rope. De Guozixi carried 4 cartons by himself. Even Shen Tianxing tried to carry one, but he refused, don't hurt your hands. Wang Chanzheng and the others saw De Guozixi carrying these 4 heavy-looking cardboard boxes, as if they were nothing, and still walking as fast as flying. They all secretly praised in their hearts, this prince is really hiding his secrets, he is really amazing. Sharp. When they arrived at Wang Chanzheng's office, under the witness of 4 professors, De Guozixi and Shen Tianxing handed over a series of famous porcelains from the Song dynasty, as well as several precious calligraphy and paintings, to the hands of curator Wang Chanzheng. Curator Wang Chanzheng and 4 old professors eagerly opened the 4 cartons carefully. When they saw the indescribably beautiful pieces of famous porcelain from the Song dynasty, all of them opened their eyes wide and even breathed softly, as if they were afraid that any louder words would desecrate these exquisite and beautiful arts. Taste. Oh my God! This is really RU porcelain from the Song dynasty. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. This is June porcelain from the Song dynasty. This is official porcelain from the Song dynasty. This is Gassi from the Song dynasty. This is Ding porcelain from the Song dynasty. Oh my God! Lao Guo, please pinch me and see if I'm dreaming? All the 5 famous porcelains of the Song dynasty are here. Moreover, these 5 famous porcelains are so completely preserved. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 164. Duguzixi and Shen Tianxing looked at these old experts and professors who were shouting with excitement and couldn't help but smile at each other. Now that the handover is complete, Shen Tianxing and Duguzixi don't want to stay here any longer and hinder their appreciation. Duguzixi then said to Director Wang Changzheng, "Director Wang, we have something else to do, so we'll leave first." Wang Changzheng hurriedly tried to persuade him to stay. "Leaving so soon? Why don't you stay for a meal and let us express our feelings?" Duguzixi said calmly, "No, goodbye." As soon as Wang Changzheng saw the distant and cold expression on Duguzixijun's face, he could no longer say anything to persuade him to stay, so he could only say, "Then I'll give it to you." Shen Tianxing also smiled and said, "Director Wang, there is no need to send you off. We can go on our own. Goodbye." But Wang Changzheng finally sent them out of the gate. He also told Shen Tianxing that he would send the donation certificate and so on to Dugu's house later. Then, watching them get into the car, Wang Changzheng turned around and went back, looking eager to join his old friends in appreciating those Song Dynasty antiques. After starting the car, Duguzixi looked sideways at Shen Tianxing and asked her gently, "Xiaoxing, where do you want to go now?" Shen Tianxing raised his eyes and chuckled, "Don't you still have to send things to the auction house? Let's finish sending the things first." Duguzixi nodded, "It's okay to send the things to the auction house later, but I still listen to you." Shen Tianxing pursed his lips and chuckled. Duguzixi drove directly to Beiourongfeng auction house in the capital. This Beiourongfeng auction house is run by the Dugu family. If they have good things in their hands, they will put them up for auction in their own auction house. Firstly, they can rest assured, and secondly, they can help build the reputation of their own auction house. Just like this time, the news that the famous Song Dynasty porcelain and some calligraphy and paintings held by Shen Tianxing were to be auctioned caused a sensation in the entire collecting world. Chinese collectors, as well as foreign collectors, all called and asked the auction house to reserve a spot for them, and they had to sign up to participate in the auction. After asking Duguzixi's opinion, Su Qinjin, the head of Beiourongfeng auction house, selected some famous families and wealthy families at home and abroad to send invitation letters. Seeing that the auction is going to be held tomorrow, but the young master Dugu has never delivered it, Su Qinjin's hair has turned grey in the past 2 days. Su Qinjin was talking about this when he heard his cell phone ringing. He picked it up and looked at it. When he saw that it was Duguzixi, he immediately answered the call. "Hello, young master." Duguzixi said calmly, "We have about 10 minutes to get to your place, and we have brought our things. Please prepare." When Su Qinjin heard this, his heart suddenly dropped. Yes, I will prepare immediately, prepare immediately. See you later." After Duguzixi finished speaking, he hung up the phone directly. Su Qinjin was so happy that he shook his fist in the air, and then immediately called the 3 old appraisers from the auction house, and they went to the door to greet Duguzixi and Shen Tianxing. Not long after they arrived at the gate, they saw Duguzixi driving in slowly in a black car and stopped in front of them. Su Qinjin quickly stepped forward and helped Duguzixi open the car door. Duguzixi ignored him. After he got off the car, he walked around the front of the car and opened the door for Shen Tianxing. He also considerately blocked the top with his hand before letting Shen Tianxing come out. "Xiaoxing, get out of the car." Su Qinjin watched the scene and listened to Duguzixi's gentle whisper to Shen Tianxing, and suddenly felt that he had flattered the wrong person. As a person in charge of Dugu family enterprises, Su Qinjin was also fortunate to attend the engagement party of Duguzixi and Shen Tianxing. At the engagement party, he found out that the eldest young master was very kind to his fiancée. But looking at the thoughtfulness of the eldest young master now, I am afraid that the eldest young master treats his fiancée even better than he imagined. It seems that he will have to be more cautious in the future. If he has another chance, he will open the car door for the eldest young master's fiancée first. Dugozixi closed the car door, then walked to the back of the car and opened the trunk. Inside the trunk, there are a batch of Song Dynasty antiques that Shen Tianxing took out on the road to participate in tomorrow's auction. It is also packed in 4 cartons. This time, Su Qingjin did not dare to let Dugozixi carry these things. He and the 3 old appraisers stepped forward directly, each carrying a cardboard box, and then led Dugozixi and Shen Tianxing into the auction house. The group of people arrived at the auction house's collection room and sat down. Su Qingjin then asked Dugozixi with a respectful smile, "Young master, can we unpack these treasures now?" Dugozixi nodded, "Tear it down." Su Qingjin carefully opened the carton, took out the Song Dynasty antiques sealed inside one by one, and placed them on the red table covered with velvet in the collection room. The batch of Song Dynasty antiques that Shen Tianxing took out were all single pieces, and the even rarer sets of famous porcelain were donated to the National Museum. But even a single piece of famous porcelain from the Song Dynasty is very rare. The first thing Su Qingjin took out was the famous porcelain from Ryukil, Qianfeng Bibo vase. Ryu porcelain is the first of the 5 famous porcelains in the Song Dynasty. There is a saying that Ryukil is the leader. Its status is very high and its value is extremely high. Every piece produced attracts the attention of the world. But now, Shen Tianxing has 3 pieces of Song Dynasty Ryu porcelain for auction. One is the Qianfeng Bibo vase, the other is the azure glaze bowl, and the third is the azure glaze string pattern bottle. Su Qingjin's hands were trembling a little. The other 3 old appraisers looked at these 3 pieces of Ryu porcelain from the Song Dynasty, and their eyes were full of excitement, and they didn't even dare to breathe. Next, there are wine bottles from the Song Dynasty, calligraphy and paintings from the Song Dynasty, etc. There are a total of 18 Song Dynasty antiques. Su Qingjin no longer knew what words to use to describe his mood. He secretly wondered if the young master and his fiancée had dug an ancient tomb of a Song Dynasty rich man somewhere, so they took out so many Song Dynasty antiques for auction. Su Qingjin can now predict how intense and crazy tomorrow's auction will be if he spreads the news today. When he thought of that crazy scene, he felt his heart begin to beat wildly. After this auction, the name of their Beorongfeng auction house will definitely become even more famous. Su Qingjin looked at this pile of Song Dynasty antiques and felt that taking out so many at once was a one-time consumption of this fame. If they were auctioned separately, the effect would be even better. He then cautiously asked Dugozixi, "Master, there are so many antiques from the Song Dynasty this time. Should we auction them off several times? This will also be very helpful to enhance the reputation of our auction house." Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 165. Dugozixi turned to look at Shen Tianxing. These things belong to Xiaoxing. Of course, Xiaoxing had the final say. But Shen Tianxing smiled lightly and said, "Let's take pictures of these first this time. I will have some good things to auction in the future." Oh my god, she still has something good in her hands. Su Qingjin felt that his heart had been numbed by the continuous stimulation. For the first time, he discovered that the eldest young master's fiancée from the countryside of Su City was such an awesome person. Who says that people from the countryside are all rustic? Come out quickly and see if I don't beat him to death. This young lady from the countryside is clearly the super invisible rich man among the rich. Su Qingjin smiled flatteringly at Shen Tianxing and said, "Young madam, if you have any orders from now on, just tell me directly." Shen Tianxing couldn't help but feel a little embarrassed when he heard him call her young madam. "Mr. Su, I'm not married to Zixi yet, so don't call me young madam. From now on, please call me Xiao Shen." When Su Qingjin was feeling embarrassed, he heard Dugozixi say from the side, "Xiao Xing, how dare old Su call you Xiao Shen?" I think this is a good title for him. From now on, I'll just call you Madam Young. If she hadn't been too young, he would have loved to have cooked rice with her earlier. Shen Tianxing glared at him angrily. What nonsense are you talking about? We haven't even gotten married yet, and yet you let others call me that. If you don't know, you might think that I'm not married yet and you're just asking people to call me that. How can you let others call me that? Where do I put my face? Dugozixi snorted coldly, with me here, who dares to laugh at you? Su Qingjin also laughed and said, that's right, young madam, the eldest young master is talking here, who dares to laugh at you? If nothing else, it depends on the eldest young master's infatuation and kindness towards you. Who would still dare to laugh at you? If he can't see your position in the eldest young master's heart, that person must be blind too. Dugozixi glanced at Su Qingjin with satisfaction. This Su Qingjin is very good. The mouth can talk. Give him more bonuses this month. Su Qingjin didn't think about the bonus. When he saw the admiration for him in Dugozixi's eyes, he felt so happy. Dugozixi is the future leader of the Dugu family. If he is appreciated by Dugozixi, he is not sure that he will have a bright future and be promoted step by step, but at least he will no longer have to worry about being laid off when the Dugu family changes heirs. Seeing the two of them singing along, Shen Tianxing smiled helplessly and said, okay, you can call me whatever you want. If anyone laughs at me, I'll only ask you. Her last words were addressed to Dugozixi. Dugozixi was amused by her and chuckled, okay, if anyone dares to laugh at you or bully you, just tell me and I will deal with them severely. Shen Tianxing pinched him lightly and said angrily, okay, stop being poor. Let Mr. Su and a few appraisers take a look at these things. If there are no problems, let's leave. Okay. After Dugozixi answered her, she said to Su Qingjin, old Su, you heard what the young lady said, hurry up and get to work. Su Qingjin responded with a smile, yes. Together with 3 old appraisers, he will appraise, issue certificates for this batch of Song Dynasty antiques, and then put them in the vault. They will not take out these precious Song Dynasty antiques until the auction starts tomorrow. Auction. The whole process is very strict, and the guards are also very tight. Unless there is a trickster in their auction house, it will be difficult for outsiders to steal or subcontract the items collected in Beorongfeng auction house. After Shen Tianxing finished handing over to them, he took Dugozixi away. Dugozixi first took Shen Tianxing to eat the most famous roast duck in the capital, and then took her to visit the ancient palace, and the ancient imperial garden. Finally, he took her to the world-famous Great Wall. When the two of them climbed onto the Great Wall, their horizons widened, their eyes were full of green and full of vitality, and their mood suddenly broadened. Although this is not a fairyland, but with the lover holding hands by your side, it feels like this is not a fairyland, but it is better than a fairyland. The two people walked around the Great Wall and saw that the time was not too early. Shen Tianxing thought that she had promised to go back to Dugu's house and have dinner with the old man and his wife, so she said to Dugozixi, Zixi, let's go back, just in time to have dinner with Grandpa and Grandma. Okay, let's go home then. Dugozixi was originally playing with her, but if she said she didn't want to play, she wouldn't play. When they returned to Dugu's house, they found that there were guests at Dugu's house. The guests were a middle-aged couple and a young girl in fashionable and beautiful clothes. When the family of 3 saw Dugozixi walking in, their eyes suddenly lit up. The middle-aged couple stood up enthusiastically and greeted Dugozixi, Zixi, you are back. The young girl looked at Dugozixi affectionately and shouted sweetly, Brother Zixi. When Shen Tianxing heard her coquettishly sweet voice, he couldn't help but get goosebumps. Dugozixi just nodded to them lightly and didn't reply. He was not familiar with these people at all, and they acted like they were familiar with them, which didn't please him, so naturally he didn't bother to talk to them. The old man and his wife, who were sitting there with indifferent expressions, their eyes lit up when they saw Zixi and Shen Tianxing coming back. The old lady smiled and waved to Shen Tianxing, "Xiaoxing, come here and sit down." Shen Tianxing also nodded slightly to the family of three, and then sat next to the old lady. The middle-aged woman in luxurious clothes had already guessed Shen Tianxing's identity when she saw that Shen Tianxing was so favored by the old lady and even went in and out with Zixi. But she still deliberately asked the old lady, "Auntie, who is this lady?" The old lady held Shen Tianxing's hand and replied with a smile, "This is Zi11's fiancée, her name is Shen Tianxing." The old lady introduced them to Shen Tianxing again, "Xiaoxing, these two are Mr. Sun Liguo and Mrs. Sun from the Sun family. The little girl is their daughter, named Sun Yangmei." Although Shen Tianxing didn't want to make friends with them, he still responded lightly, "Hello." Sun Liguo said with a smile, "It turns out that this little beauty is Zi11's fiancée. She is a perfect match for Zi11. She is so talented and beautiful." Mrs. Sun's look at Shen Tianxing was a little malicious. Her smile was obviously sarcastic. "I heard that Miss Shen's home is in the countryside of Su City, right? I didn't know that you were in the countryside and Zixi was in the capital. How did you know Zixi?" You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 166. When Shen Tianxing heard her tone, he wanted to spit at her. How did Zixi and I know each other, and what's the matter with Guansheng? But looking back, if she had a quarrel with this woman at Dugu's house, it would only make others look down upon her and think that the Dugu family had no vision, so they chose her to be Zi11's fiancée. Thinking of this, Shen Tianxing replied with a smile, "Zixi and I are destined to meet each other thousands of miles away. Zixi, don't you think so?" When Dugu Zixi heard her words, her handsome face, which had been cold just now, raised a faint smile. "That's right. It was me who traveled thousands of miles to the countryside to meet Xiaoxing. Why, does Mrs. Sun have any objections to this?" Mrs. Sun met Dugu Zixi's cold eyes and instantly felt a chill in her heart. She dared to pick on Shen Tianxing, but she never dared to provoke Dugu Zixi. When she saw Dugu Zixi looking at her with a cold expression, Mrs. Sun quickly apologized and said with a smile, I'm sorry, how could I have any objections to Zixi's actions?" Dugu Zixi said coldly, "I'm not familiar with you. Please don't call me by my name. Please call me Master Dugu." "Thank you." After saying that, he said to Shen Tianxing, "Xiaoxing, let's go upstairs. Don't look at these people and feel like an eyesore." Mrs. Dugu also waved to Shen Tianxing, "Go ahead, I'll call you down after dinner." Shen Tianxing stood up, smiled at the old lady, "Okay, thank you, Grandma." Just when they were about to go upstairs, Sun Yangmei suddenly stood up and shouted to Dugu Zixi with a crying voice, "Brother Zixi, don't you remember me? When I was a child, I often came to play with you." Dugu Zixi looked back at her and said coldly, "Sorry, I don't remember." After saying that, he took Shen Tianxing's hand and went directly upstairs. When he returned to his room, he closed the door directly, as if this could isolate the noise outside the door, leaving only him and Xiaoxing. The family of three downstairs were also hurt by Dugu Zixi's ruthlessness. Mrs. Sun said to the old lady with a sad face, "Auntie, why are Zixi talking like this? Our two families have been friends for so many years, but he doesn't give us any face." When Mrs. Dugu, who has always been good-tempered, heard her words, her face instantly darkened. "Lu Rong, you earn your own face. You don't give face to others, and you still want others to give you face? You think you have such a big face? This woman also wants to bully their little star, who gave her that face. MRS Sun's face suddenly turned red and blue after being scolded by old Madame Dugu. She felt a big breath blocked in her heart, choking her so much that she couldn't say a word for a long time. Seeing that the situation was not good, her husband's son Liguo stood up quickly, bowed slightly to Mr. Dugu and the old lady who had been sitting there with a cold face and said nothing, and said sincerely, "Uncle, Aunt, I'm so sorry. My wife is so talkative, so I ask my uncle and aunt to forgive her. It's getting late, so we're going back. I'm so sorry for disturbing you." The old lady had wanted them to leave for a long time. When Sun Liguo said this, she naturally stopped trying to keep them. "Okay, you go slowly." She raised her voice and shouted again, "Fuma, help me see off the guests." Fuma hurriedly walked away and said, "Yes. Old lady." Fuma saw the Sun family out and closed the door with a bang. Sun Liguo, Lu Rong, and Sun Yangmei's family looked at the closed door of Dugu's house, and their expressions all darkened. Lu Rong said angrily, "This damn old woman dares to say that to me. I'm really angry. She's so old, why doesn't she die?" Sun Yangmei also said aggrievedly, "The same goes for brother Zixi. He actually forgot about me and still talks like that. He is so heartless." Lu Rong snorted coldly, "It's not the little goblin's fault. With her here, I think our plan may not work." Sun Liguo felt very unhappy when he looked at his unsatisfactory wife and daughter. No matter how bright and luxurious they are, so what? You don't even know how to behave, and you're still being disliked by the Dugu family. But he only has one daughter, Sun Yangmei, who is good looking, so he wants to try to see if he can catch Dugu Zixi's eyes. Can I rely on the comrades in arms friendship between my father and old man Dugu to get into the Dugu family again? Sun Liguo's family immigrated to live abroad after his father died. But foreign countries are not so easy to get along with. Now that they heard that the development in the country is very good, they want to return to the country for development. They also want to embrace the golden thigh of the Dugu family and find a brilliant career for themselves. It was precisely because their family had just returned to China that they didn't know that so many recent events in the capital were related to Dugu Zixi and Shen Tianxing. Otherwise, even if they borrow 10 of their courage, they might not dare to provoke Dugu Zixi and Shen Tianxing. After they went out, the old lady called the guard room of the royal courtyard and told them to remember not to let the family named Sun in if they came again in the future. She wants to cling to others, but doesn't know how to read people's faces, and dares to deliberately provoke her. The old lady really doesn't want to have to face and deal with such stupid people in the future, so as not to ruin the atmosphere at home. After Shen Tianxing saw the Sun family leaving with his spiritual consciousness upstairs, he said to Dugu Zixi, "Let's go down and stay with the grandparents. I think they seem to be angry with the Sun family." Dugu Zixi nodded, "Okay." As soon as Mr. Dugu and Mrs. Dugu saw them coming downstairs, they became happy again. The old lady raised her hand and waved to Shen Tianxing with a smile, "Xiao Xing, come and sit down." When Shen Tianxing heard the old lady's customary standard greeting, he couldn't help but smile, said okay, and sat back next to the old lady. The old lady asked her gently, "Where did you go to play today?" Shen Tianxing smiled and replied, "We first went to the National Museum and Baorongfeng auction house, then we went to eat roast duck, and then we went to the ancient palace, the ancient prince's mansion, the imperial garden, and the Great Wall." The old lady asked again, "Did you have fun?" Shen Tianxing smiled and nodded, "Happy, very happy." The old lady smiled with crooked eyebrows, "Just have fun. I'm just afraid that if you don't have fun, you won't come to the capital to see us in the future." Shen Tianxing heard the concern for her in the old lady's words, and when she thought about the scene where she just saw the old lady slapping Lu Rong in the face with her spiritual consciousness, she felt warm in her heart. She hugged the old lady's arm and said to her with a smile, "Grandma, don't worry. As long as I have time, I will come over to see you." The old lady giggled happily. "It's agreed, you can't lie to me." Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 167. Shen Tianxing raised his hands to the sky and made an oath, "Grandma, I really won't lie to you, really." Seeing her serious look, the old lady couldn't help laughing. "You kid, Grandma is joking with you, but you are really serious about it. Grandma understands that no matter what time, study and work are important, as long as you can come and see us old guys when you have time." Shen Tianxing replied seriously, "We will definitely come back to see you and Grandpa more often." While they were talking, Dugu Junan and Yaningning also went home from get off work. They were also very happy when they saw Shen Tianxing coming. "Xiao Xing, you're here." Shen Tianxing stood up, smiled and shouted, "Dad, Mom." This dad, mom is really not what Shen Tianxing wants to call, it is what the Dugu family has repeatedly asked Shen Tianxing to call them, like Dugu Zixi. Every time Shen Tianxing calls them this, she always feels a little guilty. It seems that she calls them like this before they are officially married. She feels that the name is not justified. But every time she calls them uncle, auntie, they are unhappy and insist on asking her to call them dad, mom. And when she calls them dad, mom, they will be very happy and she will be helpless. Since they didn't mind, she could only continue to call them that shamelessly. For Shen Tianxing, the future only eldest grandson of the Dugu family, Mr. Dugu and Mrs. Dugu, Dugu Junan and Yaningning really like her very much. Even before Shen Tianxing entered the Dugu family, he had already brought countless good luck to the Dugu family. The whole family felt that the Shen family's statement that Shen Tianxing was a lucky star was really not an exaggeration. They are really eager to hope that Shen Tianxing, the lucky star, can marry into their Dugu family as soon as possible and spread their branches and make their Dugu family prosperous. It is best to have more children and put an end to their Dugu family. The fate of a single family for 5 generations. It is too dangerous to have only one heir. Just like Dugu Zixi was sick before, they were suffering every day, and they were afraid and afraid every day. Will Dugu Zixi not be able to survive it and just leave like this? Now Dugu Zixi is in good health and getting stronger and stronger. All of this is due to Shen Tianxing's blessing. They are now really placing all their hopes for the future inheritance of the Dugu family on Shen Tianxing, the lucky star. After Shen Tianxing had a warm dinner at Dugu's house, she said goodbye to them and said that she would go back tonight and come back tomorrow to attend the auction. Everyone in the Dugu family also knew that Shen Tianxing was elusive and could leave and come whenever she wanted. They could only follow her wishes and reluctantly said goodbye to her and asked her to come back and have dinner together tomorrow. Shen Tianxing nodded in agreement, then returned to his room with Dugu Zixi, and then the two of them entered the space together. Their daily lives after entering the space are still practicing together, tidying up the space together, and cooking delicious food together. When two people are happy, they go to the lake together to enjoy the scenery. Dugu Zixi would play music to Shen Tianxing, and Shen Tianxing would use his thigh as a pillow, lying there and listening quietly, giving her a feeling of such beautiful times. The next day, Dugu Zixi and Shen Tianxing changed their clothes and still drove the black car to Beioronfeng auction house. The auction starts at 10 a.m. It was already 9:55 when Dugu Zixi and Shen Tianxing arrived at the auction hall. The auction hall was already filled with wealthy people and collectors from all over the world. Shen Tianxing also saw that Wang Changzheng, the director of the National Museum, and the 4 professors from yesterday were also present. They were in the first row, and several people were whispering among themselves and discussing something. Shen Tianxing and Dugu Zixi, one as a donor and the other as the owner of Beioronfeng auction house, did not appear in the lobby, but went to the VIP room on the second floor. Guests in the VIP rooms can directly see the auction table through special windows. But those people outside cannot see who is inside the window, so the privacy of the guests can be protected. But there are only 20 VIP rooms on the second floor, and you have to pay an additional 100,000 yuan in usage fees each time. Booking is on a first-come, first-served basis. As soon as 10 o'clock arrives, Yuan Xiao, the most powerful auctioneer of Beiourongfeng Auction House, walked onto the stage. After Yuan Xiao gave a welcome speech as usual, he also explained to all the guests, today's batch of antiques from the Song dynasty were donated by a kind-hearted and loving lady surnamed Lin. The ones we bought today are all funds will be donated to the Suzhou Xingzi Charitable Foundation, and the Xingzi Charitable Foundation will be solely responsible for the arrangement and distribution of the donations. Thank you all. Now please bring out the first lot of our auction today, a very famous RU porcelain from the Song dynasty, Qianfeng Bibo vase. Everyone has 15 minutes to come up to the stage and appreciate this Qianfeng Bibo vase. Please. When the rich and collectors heard that they could appreciate it on the spot, they couldn't help but rush to the stage and excitedly discuss the Qianfeng Bibo bottle in the glass window. It looks real. Of course it's true. Beiourongfeng Auction House has a good reputation, but it never auctions fakes. A fake will be punished 10 times. That's right, Beiourongfeng Auction House has never made any mistakes in all these years. This 1000 Peaks Blue Wave vase is too difficult. It may be the only one in the world. Don't grab it from me for a while. I must take a photo. TCH, as long as you want it, I want it too, okay. Who will it get? We'll see the truth then. You are such a serious guy, will you die if you let me do it? You won't die for a moment, but are you sure you can take the photo if I let you? He. Don't argue, the first auction today is so high-end, and there must be many amazing treasures below. I don't think I'm afraid that you don't know the goods today, but I'm afraid that you don't have so much money to take pictures of these treasures. The auction process for the Qianfeng Bibo vase was indeed extremely competitive. The auction price started at 5 million and skyrocketed to 35 million. Finally, it was bought by a female collector and pocketed. The second lot is also a famous porcelain azure glaze bowl from the Song dynasty. It is said that only 2 pieces exist in the world, one is in the National Museum and the other is in the National Museum of Country Y. This second lot actually fetched a sky-high price of 50 million yuan because there were so few of it in existence. The third lot, a sky green glazed string-patterned bottle, also fetched a price of 35 million. When the auction ended successfully, Shen Tianxing and Dugu Zixi calculated that in this auction, 18 Song dynasty antiques were sold for more than 285 million. With this money, Shen Tianxing can do more good things. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 168. After the auction was successfully concluded, Shen Tianxing and Dugu Zixi left. The two of them returned to Dugu's house together. While on the road, Shen Tianxing received a call from her mother Li Xiaoxia, who told her, "Xiao Xing, it's your birthday in 2 days, you must go home for dinner." Feeling the care and love in his mother's words, Shen Tianxing responded with a sweet smile, "Mom, I remember, I will definitely go home to have dinner with you, don't worry." Li Xiaoxia smiled and said, "Okay, then we will prepare the meal and wait for you to come back to eat." "Thanks Mom." "Silly boy, tell Mom what to say thank you." "Okay, Mom won't bother you anymore, hang up." "Okay, Mom, bye." "Goodbye." After Shen Tianxing hung up the phone on Li Xiaoxia, he looked sideways at Dugu Zixi who was driving and asked him, "Zixi, on my birthday, do you want to come with me to my house for dinner?" Every year on Shen Tianxing's birthday, a family dinner is held at the Shen family. Everyone in the Shen family will send gifts and sincere blessings to Shen Tianxing, making Shen Tianxing full of happiness. This year, she and Dugozixi got engaged, which made her feel very happy. Therefore, she very much hoped that Dugozixi could spend this birthday with her and her family. Just as the car driven by Dugozixi was about to enter the royal compound, Shen Tianxing suddenly saw a beautiful female ghost floating in front of their car and stopped their car with her hands. Shen Tianxing heard her say, "Master Shen, please help me redress my grievance." Shen Tianxing was a little surprised, but he still asked Dugozixi to stop the car. Dugozixi looked at her and asked, "Xiao Xing, what's wrong?" Shen Tianxing said to him, "There is a female ghost who has complained to me. I'll go down and have a look." When Dugozixi heard that there was a female ghost here, she frowned and said, "This is within the scope of the royal courtyard and is full of dragon energy. How can this female ghost enter here to seek grievances against you?" Shen Tianxing nodded and looked at the female ghost's spirit body. Her spirit body was covered with a layer of faint yellow golden light. Shen Tianxing sighed softly and said, "This female ghost has merit and body protection. It can be seen that she must have done a lot of good things during her lifetime, so she was able to come here to find me. But, how did she know me? You can ask her later." Shen Tianxing got out of the car, and the beautiful female ghost immediately floated in front of her, smiling lightly, "Master Shen." What she just said clearly was to ask Shen Tianxing to help her redress her grievances. But there was no anger in her body that she felt was wrongfully killed. Generally, ghosts who die unjustly carry heavy evil spirits and resentment on their bodies, and they may turn into powerful ghosts and harm others at any time. It is really rare for this female ghost to maintain a normal heart despite such an unjust death. Shen Tianxing guessed that it might be related to the fact that this female ghost was born with a kind heart. Otherwise, she would not have accumulated so much merit during her lifetime, and even after her death, she would still have merit to protect herself. Even if she has to enter the underworld and be reincarnated, with this merit to protect her, she will definitely be reborn well and live a good life in her next life. Shen Tianxing looked at the purple mark on her neck. She must have been strangled to death with a rope. Shen Tianxing has always respected these meritorious people or ghosts. She also smiled at the female ghost and asked several questions in one breath. "Hello. Who are you? What grievances do you want to complain about? Also, how do you know that I can help you redress your grievances?" The female ghost replied softly, "My name is Tang Kinki, and I am the director of the Love Orphanage in Jinbi County, and I found you." A strange feeling flashed in Shen Tianxing's heart. Who on earth has such great ability to guide this female ghost to find her? Shen Tianxing nodded slightly towards the female ghost Tang Kinki. "Go on, why do you want to appeal to me?" Tang Kinki said softly, "Our Jinbi County is a well-known poverty-stricken county in the country. 3 months ago, Wang Kunchao, director of the Beijing Poverty Alleviation Office, came to our county to carry out poverty alleviation activities. Accompanied by the county leaders, they visited our loving care center. Orphanage. Before this, we had applied to the county for orphan relief many times, but we almost broke our legs, but the county always said that there was no money, and the orphan relief was never approved." When Shen Tianxing heard this, he asked, "Then how did you survive without the support of the government?" Tang Kinki replied softly, "We can only rely on my parents' retirement salary and donations from some caring people around us to feed the more than 50 children in the orphanage." Shen Tianxing asked her again, "Have you always been in charge of this orphanage?" Tang Kinki replied, "No, this orphanage was founded by Aunt Li Ping in 1985. At first, she adopted a few orphans personally. Later, she could not raise so many children by herself, so she applied to the government to establish a charity orphanage. I used to be a volunteer at the orphanage. When I was free after get off work or on my days off, I would go to the orphanage to help. Later, Aunt Li Ping got liver cancer. Before she died, she entrusted the love orphanage to me and asked me to let's continue this loving orphanage and don't let those poor children become homeless. After discussing with my parents, I decided to resign from public office and take over this important task. Later, I became the director of this loving orphanage. Many people around me think I'm stupid. Even my boyfriend broke up with me because of this, saying he couldn't bear this responsibility with me. I understood him and broke up with him peacefully. But they don't know that I am really happy with these innocent and lovely children. I also hope that they can all be happy. When Shen Tianxing heard this, he understood. No wonder this Tang Kinky has many merits and virtues. She must have saved many children and done many good deeds. Shen Tianxing asked again, what happened next? How could you die unjustly? Tang Kinky's eyes flashed with sadness, and she said quietly, I have never been able to apply for assistance from the county, and even maintaining some of the daily expenses of the orphanage is very difficult. This time, Wang Kunchao told me that he could help me and apply to the higher authorities to allocate a special support and relief fund to our loving orphanage. However, he said that I had to go to Beijing to explain this matter in person, so that the higher UPS would believe it. Otherwise, he was afraid that others would say that he was looking for opportunities to commit corruption or something. I believed what he said and followed him to the capital. How did you know that this Wang Kunchao is a real beast? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Juyu. Chapter 169. After he took me to the capital, he arranged for me to stay in a guest house. That night, he drugged the tea I drank, knocked me out, and then raped me. At this point, Tang Kinky's ghost eyes were red and filled with blood and tears. Shen Tianxing couldn't help but feel sorry for her when he saw it. He also hated the scumbag Wang Kunchao who harmed Tang Kinky even more. After a while, Tang Kinky suppressed the sadness and pain in her heart, and then continued, when I woke up, I knew that I had been deceived and ruined by this beast. I couldn't cry at the time. I don't know what to do, I feel like my originally beautiful life has been ruined by this beast. Speaking of this, 2 lines of blood and tears fell down Tang Kinky's face. Shen Tianxing felt pity for the caring Tang Kinky. Such a beautiful woman was ruined by a beast like this. Shen Tianxing asked her again, then how were you killed by that beast? And where are your parents? Do they know that you died unjustly? Tang Kinky stretched out her hand to wipe the blood and tears from her face, and said with a choked sob, after I finished crying, I said I was going to call the police, sue this beast, and let him sit in jail. When the beast saw that I wasn't kidding, he knocked me unconscious, then twisted his tie into a rope, strangled me around my neck, and strangled me to death. After I died, he cleared up the evidence of his own crimes and washed my body clean. After I turned into a ghost, I followed this beast and watched him bribe the relevant people to shut up. Then, he also had people secretly transport my body back and send it back to my orphanage. I used the room in the hospital to pretend that I couldn't apply for relief and couldn't think of hanging myself. When my parents found out, they were devastated, but they didn't believe that I committed suicide and called the police. But now 3 months have passed, and the national police still can't find any clues, and they still haven't been able to give me justice. What worries me the most is the children in the orphanage. After I left, no one took care of them. My parents couldn't bear it and had no choice but to take over my burden. But after all, they are older. Even a young man like me feels unable to do something. It is more difficult for them to persist in the long term. Tang Kinky sighed softly, with deep worry in her eyes. It was concern for her parents, care for the orphans, and she couldn't bear it. When I felt like I was about to despair, I heard a rich male voice saying to me, Follow my guidance and find a female master named Shen Tianxing. She will help you redress your grievances and solve them. Those kids' problems. So, I came to you. After hearing this, Shen Tianxing asked her with doubts, did he say who the man who asked you to come to me was? Tang Qingqi shook her head, he said these words to me without saying anything. I didn't even see him. Then, it was like a force was pulling me in your direction. When you appeared in front of me, he said, this girl is Master Shen. Go stop her and explain the situation clearly to her. She will definitely help you. After hearing this, Shen Tianxing no longer cared about who was the driving force behind Tang Qingqi. If what Tang Qingqi said is true, then she will never sit idly by and ignore this matter now that it has happened to her. Shen Tianxing said to Tang Qingqi, if what you said is true, I will definitely help you redress your grievances and seek justice for you. As well as the children in the caring orphanage, I will also immediately send someone to take over and take care of the children. This loving orphanage will be merged into our Xingzi Charity Foundation, and I will provide these children with the best care and treatment. Tang Qingqi bowed deeply to Shen Tianxing, Master Shen, thank you. Thank you so much. Shen Tianxing took out a jade tablet and said to her, you hide it in this jade tablet first. After I help you deal with these things and fulfill your wish, I will send you to reincarnation, okay? Tang Qingqi nodded repeatedly and bowed gratefully to Shen Tianxing again, thank you, Master Shen. You are so considerate. Thank you. I am really grateful. I will never be able to repay you for your great kindness in this life. If there is an afterlife, I will repay you. Shen Tianxing smiled at her and said, you're welcome, come in quickly. I will arrange someone to investigate this matter right away. Tang Qingqi said thank you again, then floated to the jade token in Shen Tianxing's hand, hiding it inside to rest. The aura in this jade tablet made her feel very comfortable. If she stayed here all the time, it would be very good for her spirit body. After Shen Tianxing settled Tang Qingqi, he put the jade plaque into the life space and put it away before getting into Tuguzixi's car again. In this life, Tuguzixi did not have his eyes open. He could feel Tang Qingqi's presence, but he did not know what Tang Qingqi and Shen Tianxing said. He could only guess the whole thing from what Shen Tianxing said to Tang Qingqi. After Shen Tianxing got in the car, he briefly told Tuguzixi what Tang Qingqi had told her. After hearing this, Tuguzixi simply said, this kind of scum should be punished directly. Shen Tianxing glanced at him with a smile, this scumbag is from the capital, so let you handle his side. How about that? Tuguzixi responded readily, no problem. After the two returned to Tuguz's house, Tuguzixi immediately ordered someone to thoroughly investigate Wang Kunchao's affairs. Shen Tianxing also had dinner at Tuguz's house before saying goodbye and leaving. Tang Qingqi's incident changed Shen Tianxing's plan. She planned to fly her sword overnight and go to the love orphanage to check on the situation. If it is true as Tang Qingqi said, then the situation of the children in the orphanage must be very bad now. After Tuguzixi knew her plan, he was determined to go with her. Shen Tianxing couldn't resist him and had no choice but to follow his wishes. The two people concealed themselves, climbed onto the balcony, and then controlled the flying swords, flying directly towards the love orphanage in Jinbi County, Anxian Province, as Tang Qingqi said. At this time, there were two haggard-looking elderly people in the office of the love orphanage, who were worried about the children in the love orphanage. They are Tang Qingqi's parents, Tang Haiquan and Guan Min. Before they retired, the couple were old teachers at a middle school in Jinbi County. There is also Tang Qingqi, who was also a people's teacher before resigning. At this time, Guan Min was asking Tang Haiquan with a worried look on his face, "Old Tang, tell me, what should we do next? Our pensions have been subsidizing the orphanage these years, and now we have no money to continue subsidizing it. Now, no one is willing to take over the management, Do we really have to abandon this old face and go around borrowing money from people to maintain this orphanage? Dominating the Powerful Families, Rebirth of the Strongest Divinator. Author, Long Ju. Chapter 170. Old Tang's heart was now filled with helplessness and worry. But when he saw his old wife's anxious appearance, he couldn't bear to add to her burden any more. He could only comfort her and said, "Amin, don't worry, I'm trying to figure out how to negotiate with the government. Maybe tomorrow and the day after tomorrow the government will agree to allocate funds or have someone take over the orphanage." He has already thought that if it doesn't work out, he should shamelessly ask relatives to borrow some money to tide over the current difficulties. Then he will find a job and earn more money. He can't survive one more day. He can't just turn his back. Are you going to watch these children starve to death? Guanmin knew that her wife was comforting her, so she couldn't hurt him by saying bad words. When she thought of her poor daughter again, Guanmin couldn't control the sadness and sorrow in her heart, and the tears kept pouring out of her eyes. When Tang Haiquan saw his wife crying again, he sighed softly, stepped forward to hold her shoulders, and gently wiped away the tears on her face. "Amin, stop crying. Our daughter is good, I am proud of her. She has accumulated so much merit in this life and will definitely be fine in her next life." Guanmin was so sad that she burst into tears after hearing this. After a while, she asked her husband with tears in her eyes and a hint of unwillingness and doubt, "You think, why are there no good rewards for good people in this world? If I had known that such a day would come, I would have risked my life to be a good person. Give them all away, even if I die, I will not support my daughter to take over this orphanage." Tang Haiquan said helplessly, "Okay, it's too late for you to say this now. Don't think about it. The more you think about it, the sadder you will be. If my daughter sees you like this, she won't feel at ease even if she leaves." The more he comforted her, the more tears she shed and she couldn't stop them. Tang Haiquan stopped comforting her and asked her to cry her heart out and vent her inner emotions. He walked out. Guanmin, who had no one to comfort her, gradually calmed down and her tears slowly stopped. But the pain of losing her beloved daughter, the pain of a white-haired person giving a black-haired person, does not know how many years it will take to heal. Soothe. When Shen Tianxing and Dugu Zixi found a love orphanage with flying swords, Tang Haiquan and Guanmin were discussing selling their houses to support the life of the orphanage. Guanmin couldn't help but burst into tears when she thought that she had lost her daughter and had to sell her house. The place where she had lived all her life would be gone. But she also knew that this was the only way to keep the orphanage going. My daughter risked her life for this orphanage. And now they have to build a house for this orphanage. She didn't even know what their family was trying to do. Now people outside are saying that their family is stupid. In the past, they supported their daughter to give up public office and engage in charity work. This was because they felt that they had extra ability to contribute and help a group of people in need. This was a good thing to do good and accumulate virtue. However, now that they have ruined their families, have they really done something wrong? Do people really have to be more selfish in order to live a better life? Guanmin felt that the belief she had always thought was right was about to collapse at this moment. At this time, Tang Haiquan and Guanmin heard a very pleasant female voice ringing outside the door. "Excuse me, is Mr. Tang Haiquan here?" As soon as Tang Haiquan heard that the other party came to see him, he looked at the time on the table and saw that it was almost 10 o'clock in the evening. Is there something urgent for this person to come to him so late? He quickly responded, "Hey, I'm here, I'm here." Tang Haiquan opened the door and saw two wall figures that he would never forget appear in front of them. Shen Tianxing and Dugu Zixi were still dressed in the same attire as when they attended the auction. As soon as Tang Haiquan and Guanmin saw their attire and noble temperament, they knew that these two people must have extraordinary backgrounds. Tang Haiquan asked cautiously, "I am Tang Haiquan, and this is my wife Guan Min. I wonder if you two came here late at night." Is there something urgent? Shen Tianxing smiled lightly at them and introduced himself to them first. My name is Shen Tianxing. I am from Sioux City and the founder and president of the Xingzi Charitable Foundation. This is my fiancé Dugu Zixi. You came with me. After introducing himself, Shen Tianxing asked them again, can we go in and chat? Tang Haiquan quickly stretched out his hand to guide us, please come in, please come in. It's just that the inside is too simple. I'm afraid I'm neglecting our two distinguished guests. I'm really sorry. Shen Tianxing smiled and said, it doesn't matter. The office of this caring orphanage is indeed very simple, with just a table and a few benches. There is also a tall cabinet against the wall, which contains the personal files of the children in the orphanage, as well as the information of caring people who have donated money and materials to the orphanage over the years. Tang Haiquan asked them to sit down, and Guanmin quickly poured them a cup of hot tea. Tang Haiquan looked at Shen Tianxing and Dugu Zixi, who were dressed in extraordinary clothes, and felt as if he had seen hope, his eyes bright. But he was afraid that his expectations would come true, so he asked carefully and tentatively, I wonder how the two nobles found us? Is there anything we can do for you? Shen Tianxing said softly, that's right, we are here because of the entrustment of your daughter Tang Qingqi. She cares about you and this orphanage, and her murderer has not yet been arrested, so she has not yet been arrested. I brought her here to reincarnate. Do you want to see her again? When Tang Haiquan and Guanmin heard this, they stood up with excitement. Yes. Of course I do. Shen Tianxing took out the jade token that Tang Qingqi was hiding in from the life space, pulled her out, and temporarily opened the eyes of Tang Haiquan and Guanmin so that they could see Tang Qingqi and talk to them. Farewell words. Shen Tianxing also opened Dugu Zixi's eyes. As soon as Tang Qingqi saw the haggard appearance of her father and mother, she cried and knelt down, hugged her parents' thighs, and cried loudly, Dad, Mom, it's my daughter who is sorry for you. It's my daughter who has dragged you down. I'm sorry. Sorry. Tang Haiquan and Guanmin tried to pull their daughter up, but found that their hands could only pass through her daughter's spirit body. The sadness of not being able to touch her once again overwhelmed the two old men. Guanmin also burst into tears. Seeing her daughter like this, she cried so hard that she couldn't even speak. Tang Haiquan also wiped away his tears and said to Tang Qingqi, Ching Ching, get up quickly. Mom and Dad didn't blame you. They only blamed us for being too incompetent to protect you and take revenge for you. It's your parents who are sorry for you.